All right, I am going to go ahead and get started just with some quick introductions. I appreciate everyone for being here to join us and learn how North Little Rock School District is accelerating their academic achievement and tracking student competencies for their graduate profile. I am Nikki Builder with Defined Learning, and joining me, we have Johnny Key and Mary Beth Hatch. A little bit of background about Johnny Key and Mary Beth. Johnny Key served as Secretary of the Arkansas Department of Education from 2019 to 2023, excuse me, and as Commissioner of the Department from 2015 to 2019, overseeing the state's 237 school districts and 18 charter school systems. Under Johnny's leadership, the department developed a vision to transform Arkansas into a national leader of student-focused education, and Arkansas became a national leader in both computer science and literacy education. Mary Beth Hatch started her career in education teaching elementary ed in Texas and then in Arkansas. And with a passion for project-based learning, she became an environmental and spatial technology teacher. Through her teaching career, she won countless awards and honors. Mary Beth's other titles have included Director of Workforce Initiatives at North Arkansas College, board member for the Harrison Public School Foundation, and STEM Integration Specialist with the Arkansas Department of Education in Little Rock. She serves on the inaugural National Geographic Teacher Advisory Council, a board member of the AR STEM Coalition, and the K-12 representative for the Arkansas Apprenticeship Steering Committee. Mary Beth is currently the district coordinator of school innovation for the North Little Rock School District, which will be the focus of our webinar today. So without further ado, I am going to pass it over to Mary Beth and to Johnny and let them go ahead and get started.
All right. Thank you so much, Nikki. Former Commissioner Key, would you like to share anything before we start in our presentation?
Well, Nikki, thank you. And Mary Beth, always great to join you. But, Mary Beth and I, we go back to, we worked together before she came to the department when she was at Harrison. And as we were in the process of trying to create that student-focused mission and vision for the state, we engaged in student voice work, and she was great in bringing some of her students to the department, and we worked with them on developing student. And through that student voice initiative, one of the things that I learned that is so important here with this conversation today, and that's the relevance of learning. Students want to be able to relate to the content, and whether it was the feedback we got from them on life skills or personal finance, or what we'll talk about today, and that's that applied learning, project-based learning, students want to see what that relevance is. And when I got the chance and was able to bring Mary Beth to the department to work on the STEM initiative there, she just continued to do great work, and now doing that great work at North Little Rock. So I'm excited to be on here today, and to now in my new role, I get to work with great organizations like Defined Learning and help others in leadership and positions of decision-making see what they have to offer. And it's part of what we're doing here today.
Great. Thank you so much. And thank you for that introduction. And I definitely appreciate the time we were able to spend together. Previously, student voice is incredibly important in choice. And I think that's something that just leads right into what we're talking about and what we're doing here today with Defined Learning. As Nikki and Mr. Key mentioned, my name is Mary Beth Hatch, Coordinator of School Innovation for the North Little Rock School District. Work on partnerships, industry and community partnerships, and innovative ways for students to apply what they're learning through all content areas. I work all the way from pre-K through 12th grade, including our alternative learning campus and our virtual campus as well. With me today, and she's also going to be sharing in this presentation, is Miss Aisha McDonald. You'll see her in just a little bit. She is our brand new innovation coach at the reconfigured 7th Street Elementary here in the North Little Rock School District. She's doing great things. as we're entering our second 9 weeks of the school year. So you'll hear from her in just a little bit as well. I also recognize some familiar faces, and I do want to recognize Miss Pia McNulty. She is our data coordinator for the North Little Rock School District, and a major part of the work in the reconfiguration of 7th Street. And what she's done there is great. We share this building where our offices are actually housed. So great to see you as well. Nikki, am I going to just share mine, or will you put it up there?
You should be able to share. Mm-hmm.
Great. Give me just 1 second. Have it pulled up here. All right, can everybody see that?
Yep, we can see.
Okay. Okay, fantastic. So we'll just jump right in if it'll let me. Here we go. So a little bit of background as far as why we went through a reconfiguration process at 7th Street Elementary, and rationale for this reconfiguration was a historic pattern. And we'll see a little bit of data here in just a second that shows that our entire student body was showing little to no growth or success on those grade level benchmarks. But it also gave us time last year during the school year to really try to get to some of those root causes of these issues, and create a plan, which was an over 60-page proposal that was redone and added to, and very much research-based. Ms. McNulty and I worked a lot on that together, along with our superintendent, Dr. Gregory Paluski. We wanted to align with what you'll see in a moment, his E4 vision for the district. So we'll get into that in just a little bit, but this ensures that all of our students are future ready. So no matter what's happening, at home, no matter what may be happening in the summertime, we're providing learning opportunities here all year long for our students to be ready to engage in real world learning environments. You can see here, this is a big part of the data that I've referenced, but this goes back about a decade, where you can see our grade level. Those are those students that we would consider ready or exceeding, meaning they're at grade level. And you can see in 2012 and 2013 there, we were doing pretty good. And this data just reflects 7th Street Elementary. This is not district-wide data, but this is just 7th Street, as we'll be referring to today. I'm just going to make that clear. And this data obviously is public. It's been widely recognized by everyone in our community. But then you can see we have a massive shift in that 2014 and 2015 school year, a massive drop off that we truly just do not ever recover from. And then you can see the most recent, we have our very, very most recent data, but that 21-22 school year where we have, in the 20 and 21 school year, where we have students in the single digits, meaning 6% of students in 3rd grade were at grade level, 6%. And so when we see 2% and we see 0 and we see 2, we have to look at that as a cause, but obviously a systemic problem. When you look at it, it wasn't just 1 year that happened. It's been happening for a while. So what's causing that? And then how can we create a solution? How can we create a system that will in fact alleviate that? So our students are showing success, not just on those tests, but socially and emotionally as well. We wanted to create an environment where students actually want to come to school. We know when we look at that ESSA, index, it's about attendance, it's about community and parent engagement. There's a multitude of factors that go into that I'm not even aware of as much as Ms. McNulty, but it's very, very important that we meet every student where they are, but we provide that environment that makes them want to come to school every day. As I mentioned, Dr. Paluski, our superintendent, when he came into the district, created this E4 district transformation model, E4 the future. And what we're really focused on at 7th Street, obviously, is that first E, where we are exposing students to a world that they may not otherwise have had any type of experience with, or maybe it's something that they're interested in, something they enjoy, something they've seen in a movie, they read in a book, or someone told them about. We want to provide those real world experiences. We actually have a proposal that themes all 9 of our elementary schools. So every single elementary will eventually, through this process, have a theme, and those students will work through that theme from kindergarten all the way to 5th grade. We'll get into some of those details in just a little bit with Ms. McDonald and what we're doing starting in 4th grade. Then you can see that second E, explore, and that's where we're really talking about those middle school grade bands. We have a 6th grade campus, and then we have a 7th and 8th grade campus in our middle school area, but where our students are truly getting much more exploratory, maybe beyond just a little tour or guest speakers, but some really in-depth hands-on learning experiences that may take more than an hour or a class period or a day. That our partners come in and work with them with, our post-secondary partners, our industry partners, and experiences where they may go somewhere for more than just a field trip. It may be an overnight experience. And I know that probably sounds a little crazy. I was a middle school and a junior high teacher. But the thing is, if we don't provide those types of experiences for students, how can we ever prepare them for when they do have one and they don't know how to act, or they don't know what to do, or they don't know how to engage in that professional way? We don't believe in there's a time that's too early to start. As you can see, you'll see here in just a minute with what we're doing at 7th Street. Then we get into that 30, which is expand, and we're talking about that interdisciplinary learning at the 9th and 10th grade level. And for us in the North Little Rock School District, I saw Miss Kristen Herring, she's here. Also with the Academies of Central Arkansas, we are part of the Ford NGL model. And we are the only group that is a multi-district part of that. So we actually have 4 school districts who are part of that Ford NGL model, the Academies of Central Arkansas. And so our 9th graders are in what we call Freshman Academy. They're exploring all the academy options that we have. And in 10th grade, they choose their academy. And that's where we are right now in the district. We have a freshman in that Freshman Academy, and our sophomores are all in academies. And we have 3 different academies at the high school. And then we have 2 at our Center of Excellence, which is a small charter school within our high school. And then that Excel is those junior and senior year focuses where we go beyond maybe something that's capstone that we can do in-house, but we offer those true internships, those youth apprenticeships, those pre-apprenticeship opportunities for our students to really experience what that looks like. And all in all, with all of this, elementary, middle school, and high school, when we work with our community and industry partners, we also work with them at the teacher level. We want to make sure that our teachers are prepared as much as possible. As much as a teacher wants to know about biomedical sciences, they may never have been a biomedical engineer, but that's why we have these industry partners. That's how we have these community partners. We bring in the experts and we take our teachers to them as well. Something that's really big and a part of this proposal at 7th Street Elementary is what we call these guaranteed learning experiences. And it goes into that graduate profile we'll show here in just a second. But it's how we want to make sure that our students, as we mentioned, we like saving energy here in the North Little Rock School District. So if you see me get up, it's because I need to get my lights back on. But we really want our students to create a digital portfolio that will go with them literally from kindergarten all the way through high school. And in searching for that, and how do we collect that, and what does that look like, we did find defined, and that's why we're here today to talk about how we're doing that. But we want to collect that data from when a guest speaker comes in, which is going to happen tomorrow here. Ms. McDonald will tell you about that, all the way to when our students do have those internships, or they do go on a field trip and they're learning about aquatic habitats or fish dissection. We want to collect that data, and we want them to be able to show, I didn't just hear about it or read about it in a book, I experienced it. It was hands-on. I learned something there. And that's what Defined is able to really help us with. As you can see here, this is what this is part of what we start with when we talk about our graduate profile, these future ready skills that we want all our students to acquire when they leave North Little Rock. And so we don't want students to just say, oh, I went there and, I learned some great things. These are the skills that I have in my portfolio that I'm able to utilize. We have defined this much more specifically, and we've worked with Define to create this. So this is in every student's digital portfolio, the platform through Define that they're able to access. Ms. McDonald and I, the innovation coach, are really working on what this looks like. So this is the first year that we've rolled this out. So when we're talking about leadership skills, and when we're talking about perseverance skills or research skills, what does that look like for a kindergartner? Can they do all those things? Absolutely. And that's what we want to start promoting. But does that look different from kindergarten to 5th grade? Of course. And definitely, for our 9th graders. So we're working on really refining those details so that our teachers are able to give that acquisition, give that completion of that skill to that student, and that in progress look, and what that really looks like for us. But this is a huge focus of what we're doing here at 7th Street. These are also a part of that E4 transformation, and the 7th Street transformation is this characteristics of a future ready classroom. So when we say we want our students to be future ready and we provide them with these experiences, we cannot forget what the actual foundation and the cornerstone of this is, and that's what's happening inside of our classroom. And so if we have these tremendous experiences for them across the street, or we bring these people into the Discovery Zone and do these great things, that's wonderful, but what's actually happening with the people that are with them for 6, 7, 8 hours a day, their classroom teachers? And so that just comes right back into that professional development. And we've been able to receive an incredible amount of professional development for our teachers with Defined. Ms. McDonald works with them frequently, in person, virtually. It's just been a really incredible experience. I know she can speak on that as well, because we need everything that they're teaching in those foundational classes, those core content areas. We need them to be able to apply that to these projects that they're doing. This is a really good example of breaking down what we mean when we say we're starting in kindergarten. And as you can see, this is what a sample graduate profile would look like when we're talking about that communication skill, that, listening, speaking, reading, writing. And so you can see we break that down from kindergarten to 5th, and the next slide even has 6th, 7th, and 8th. But we ramp that up, and I'd like to just highlight, because it's what you're going to see in just a second, but looking at that 4th grade level, a requirement for us here with 7th Street is that students present at least 3 times to a live audience, starting in the second 9 weeks, which we're in, and we're starting now 3rd and 4th 9 weeks. They create 3 presentations with a group in some format, and they produce at least 4 published writing papers on the theme focus for their grade. And we'll get into that. But as I mentioned, the theme for the school is, or I may not have mentioned, but the theme for the school is veterinary and agricultural science. We really wanted to think outside of the box, but something that's very relatable to Arkansas, the natural state, in here in Central Arkansas as well. But we also looked at our data, and we looked at national data, and we looked at ways that we want to make sure that we are meeting the needs of every student and exposing them to careers that maybe they hadn't even considered because they never even heard of. And so when we look and see that our student population does not resemble most of these career fields in veterinary and agricultural science, and that we're talking single digits for students that are African American, which is what our school is a majority of. We are 100% free and reduced lunch campus as well. We want to make sure that we are creating an environment where they feel like they can succeed no matter what they choose to do for a future career. This also goes into the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade examples as well. You see it ramps up just a little bit. There's an expectation for them to do these presentations and these products, every 9 weeks. And so if a student were to start here in kindergarten and go all the way through 8th grade, you can see in that blue-gray section at the bottom, they would have presented a minimum of 24 times to a live audience, created a minimum of 24 real-world presentations, and written a minimum of 30 pieces of theme-related published writing. And so recently, I had presented to an executive leadership team about Defined and how we were starting to utilize it here at 7th Street, and then we're also piloting it at the secondary level. And I said, anybody here working on a project? Everybody raised their hand. And so we've got people from transportation, food service, curriculum across the board, district level leadership. Everybody's working on projects. Yet do we ever prepare ourselves really to work on those until we get to that college level coursework? And so our focus is why not start at elementary? We just, like, as I mentioned, we just don't think elementary is too young. Definitely not middle school, and high school is almost too late. Let's get them going really early here. These 3 theme options that we had pitched for 7th Street were very much a STEAM focus, where the AS was animal science, thought of by Dr. Paluski, veterinary and agricultural science, and then technology, integration, ingenuity, very much your computer science and engineering and construction pathway. The former principal here, we really settled on this veterinary and agricultural science. And so that's what we just dove in head first with in developing a scope and sequence, if you will, for these PBLs that Ms. McDonald leads with all of our grade levels. But with this theme, no other school in the state has a theme like this. Of course, it's highly engaging and integrated across all content areas. We have multiple industry and community partners right here. We have a brand new veterinary school at the post-secondary level that's just starting up, the first one in the state of Arkansas. We have an incredible partnership with the Arkansas Game and Fish already, who's already been on board for what we're doing here and continuing to provide these learning opportunities. as well for us, as well as, you know, the Little Rock Zoo, Master Naturalists. We have a multitude of people who are already community and industry partners that are all in on this. I mentioned earlier, we do have an overall theme for the school, veterinary and agricultural science, but if you look, we have these focus concepts for every grade level, and that's really the language we try to use here. And this is what our PBLs with Define are all based on right here, is these focus concepts. These focus concepts are very much based off of the science standards in each of these grade levels, but they include social studies standards, computer science, math, language arts as well. A great thing about Defined is that's all aligned already to our Arkansas standards. Little to no work has gone into that on our end. It was done for us. And just we're able to pick and choose there as we need. But you can see animals needs. First grade is animal adaptation. Second grade, we really get into definitely that plants and production side, that ag side, animal survival. Fourth grade, biomimicry and human sciences, probably the most exciting, fun one there. And that's where we're starting this week. And then fifth grade, careers and vet ag. We're really aligning really well, quite a bit with our CTE focus of bringing that career focus, keeping that in that fifth grade level. Kind of one more thing here before I stop sharing about what we're doing is we're really looking at making sure when we talk about, you know, how does this work? Or is this one more thing that we have to do? Or is this an extra thing? Well, we've modified our schedule to meet those needs. And so Wednesdays as a district, 3 weeks out of the 4 in a month, we have early release days. And so we have term these our PBL days. So this is when any industry partner wants to come in, or we want to take students out on a learning experience. We've just kind of set that Wednesday as that day that it happens. It makes it much easier to coordinate with our partners. It makes it much easier for us to coordinate with transportation and food service when we can focus on that early release day. And we have that designated time. So it doesn't mean you know, it's just, oh, free for all. It's just projects all day. This is very organized. This is very coordinated, as you're about to see. But it's also a time where our students, when they're working on those groups, we go right back to that data that I showed you earlier. When we see that our students are not where they need to be, they are not on grade level. So this also allows time for what we're calling intensive support groups. This is where we have that heavy tier 3 intervention with our students and with our staff here that work with them very closely. This is obviously just a broad example. We have a very detailed schedule. Someone asked, is that all you're doing? And you don't even have times on there? No, we have very specific times that we do that. And before Ms. McDonald speaks, I do want to share, this is something I spoke about this morning. I just came from our high school. I've spoken so much about the elementary aspect and what we are doing at 7th Street, but we are piloting this as well at our middle school and high school level through math. So in a great conversation with our secondary math coordinator, we talked about the application of learning. And I think that's part of my job. And I mentioned this earlier, is everybody doesn't understand my job and what I do. And it is a unique title, but that's okay because I understand it. So when she said, you know, we're just looking for something, I said, I need you to come over here and look at these PBLs, because if you've not had a chance to look at what they offer, it goes all the way up into concepts that I definitely, my brain does not comprehend near as well as other people, like former Commissioner Key, that's for sure, in engineering. But all of that's there. It's already built. It's ready to go. And when we just looked at a couple concepts, Algebra 1, pre-calculus, she said, that's it. That is it. That is what we need. So all that to say, in just a couple of weeks, we're actually piloting in 8 math classrooms some of these PBLs, because I like to pilot and start kind of small. And in the second 9 weeks, and we'll get some feedback from those teachers about what that looks like. And then we'll give some choice. They'll all do the same project, but then they'll get some choice in that 3rd and 4th 9 weeks. And then of course we want to expand to other content areas, but we're really starting with math. We think that's a great place to start. That's a great way to look at that application piece and kind of get some of that qualitative feedback from our teachers and our students to see what they really thought about these projects as we begin to expand at the secondary level as well. My apologies there. And as you can see, there's some contact information. Myself, Ms. McDonald, our information is on there. Dr. Tori Hooper, our deputy superintendent, and then of course, Dr. Paluski, our superintendent. Ms. McDonald.
Hi guys, I'm Aisha McDonald. I'm the innovation coach here at 7th Street. A little bit about me. I'm certified math for 8, and I did Project Lead the Way for about 8 years. And that project-based learning was an absolute experience. But now I'm in this role of innovation. So in order for us to get started, I just wanted to say a few things about what innovation actually is. I'm pretty sure we all have a great understanding already, but just so we can set the tone of what we're talking about. So innovation includes research, collaboration, organization, management, progress, and goals. And here's a lovely little quote I wanted to add. We will promote innovation within our public schools because research shows that resources alone will not create the schools that we need to help our students succeed. We need to adapt curricula and the school calendar to the needs of the 21st century. We have been working tirelessly with Define in order to send that exact message to our students every Wednesday. So with that being said, let's go and take a look. So this initiative started with addressing some of our standards first. We took a look at all of our standards, math, ELA, science, social studies, and we decided to get started with our fourth grade. So right now in the second 9 weeks, our fourth graders are covering extreme settings, which is survival in an outdoor extreme setting. And so we visit our Define platform and we settled on wildlife engineer, and we're covering bats, guys. We are covering bats. And it's close to Halloween, so that speaks to relevance. The high school just, experienced a bat excavation and it went public last year, so that accesses that prior knowledge. And it's also aligned to our standards covered in ELA. So students actually begin their PBL by doing research on the presenters. As they're doing this research on their presenters, they learn all about where they come from, what career path, where do they work now? What do they do for a living now, right? And so when the speakers actually come into the classroom, they have the opportunity to have questions pre-made before they walk into the classroom, and so that we can set our students up to be absolutely highly engaged because they know who's coming to their classroom, what I want to ask that speaker. So they start with their guest prep guide, and then they move on into their innovative notebook. Their innovative notebook is it's just a composition notebook where we put these inserts on the inside. They start off with asking a couple of questions about noticing and wondering what gets you excited about this topic. Do you know anything about bats? And then when of course, there's a negative connotation that comes with bats, but we're here to dispel that connotation. And then we move on to our GRAS, which is the cornerstone of the Define platform. This is where students get to identify the goal, role, audience, and situation of the PBL, and they get to go ahead and say, this is where I am, this is where I need to be, right? Then we move on to the phenomena. They actually will watch a video from the THB newscast, the news broadcast of the bats being removed from our local high school. So, and our superintendent's there, as well as a member of Arkansas Game and Fish. And these guys, guess what? These are the people that are coming into their classrooms. These are the same individuals in their classroom talking about their experience, what they do. And it just kind of brings everything full circle. I just saw you on TV and now you're in my classroom. Absolutely amazing, relevant. And then they move on into doing their research. This constructive response is based on what they think or what they believe will happen during this PBL. They've been embraced so much with what do I know? What did I just see? What am I guessing? What am I wondering? And then they get to choose a product. Do I want to do an infographic? Do I want to do a multimedia presentation? And the teachers will also provide them examples of what those presentations look like. And guys, this is probably one of my favorite pieces, the guided research. These are specific questions that students have to ask themselves. And it's based on like a sequencing of steps. If you take a look at that first question, what is the problem or challenge? What are we even addressing? Why do you think that this is a problem, right? And this just kind of creates thinking in our students that lead them to a common goal. So after gathering all the research, students should have enough information for their presentations. And we can go to the next one, Miss. All right. So what is it that we want students to leave with? We want students to leave with a mindset to reinvent the way they take in new information. We want students to become leading learners through sequencing of steps. We want students to have an e-portfolio that will follow them. We want students to present to a public audience, whether it be their peers, administration, community leaders, parent-teacher conferences, or any special event that we design for those presentations. And most of all, we want students to embrace the feelings of failure and transform them into the possibility of perfection. That's all I have.
Wow, that is really amazing. Ms. McDonald, thank you for sharing that. It's such a great segue into my thoughts, because as I'm listening to you, as I was listening to Mary Beth, and I'm thinking about my childhood. Okay, so project-based learning is not new. Sometimes we feel like it's new, but it's not new. Many of those things, those goals that you have for those students, I remember giving my first speech in front of a group when I was in 4-H. I think I was 9 years old, 10 years old. So to have goals for what those students will get to experience, they don't need to be terrified when they become adults and have to speak in front of a group of people. That should not be something that scares us. But one of the top things that people are afraid of, you talk to adults, and it's public speaking before a group. So, thinking about back into 2015, 2016, when we launched our efforts at the State Department to really refine and reform what education was going to look like in Arkansas, we kept coming back to feedback. I talked earlier about student feedback. The students were telling us there are things that they were missing in their experience. It wasn't because people weren't working hard. Teachers, principals, administrators at all levels, oh my goodness, we know everyone was working very hard. There were elements that we at the state had put in the way, that got in the way of the creativity, got in the way of the ability to not work as hard, but to work in a way that was better for students. And we embarked on some of that, the process of eliminating some of those barriers. And when we talked a lot at the time about wanting to create environments where students can learn and be college ready, career ready, ready for life in a community and be contributing members of their community, some of the negative feedback that we got from that was, well, you're listening to the state chamber groups or employers who just want a workforce. Well, I think if you've spent any time in an Arkansas classroom and listening to conversations between area workforce leaders, education leaders, if you just look at what large employers today, small employers today, medium-sized employers today, they are looking for people who can solve problems. Have you been to Walmart lately? How many Walmart cashiers do we have? We don't see those anymore. Those aren't the jobs. Those were jobs that existed a few years ago that are almost obsolete. Why is that? Technology changes. So why is this conversation today relevant? Because what our students are exposed to and get to experience today in the classroom has to prepare them for what that workforce and what life looks like in the next decade, 2 decades, 3 decades. And it really is about innovation, creativity, problem solving, working together. And project-based learning is such a critical component of that. We had that in schools. I remember it years ago. You think about the focus that many schools had on having FFA at the time, FBLA, FHA, now FCCLA, many of those. But we put those elements into that CTE category. And many times students don't get the opportunities to take CTE or be completers or be involved in those student the CTSOs, the student organizations. So we need to create those opportunities at kindergarten, at first grade, at second grade, exactly what 7th Street is doing. And it's really exciting to see the platform being used. Engagement. We have seen the drop off of engagement since COVID. It was a problem before COVID. I remember talking to middle school teachers, and I've always said that I'm glad I was not called to be a middle school teacher, because I probably would have been in trouble. Middle school, to me, that was my trouble years in raising my own children, was middle school, because it was so hard. How do you get the middle school experience to be better? You give kids an opportunity to learn at the elementary experience, to get to learn how to work together, to learn how to interact in a positive way with adults. All of the things that you heard talked about today by Mary Beth and Aisha, that's what is happening there at 7th Street. And it's so exciting. And then I'm going to say this, and I'm going to segue back to Nikki so she can take you through the platform. But organizations, partners like Defined Learning, take a lot of that work off of the hands of teachers. We went through a number of years where we were expecting teachers to create. We were putting too much demand on them. We want teachers to be creative, but we don't want to make that something that is on top of everything else that they have to do. And that's what we had done. We had created an atmosphere of expectation that was absolutely unbearable for many teachers. And I think that is reflected in our teacher shortage. I think that's reflected in our retention issues. Organizations like Defined Learning, who can, as Mary Beth said, you don't have to do a crosswalk with the Arkansas standards. They've got that covered. They have projects that are relevant to your area. If it's ag science, it's there. If it's computer science, it's there. There's so many elements. And when Governor Hutchinson launched the Computer Science Initiative, now, with Governor Sanders, and, still all the focus is still on career and workforce readiness. But there's also a focus that is very important that I think educators like Mary Beth and Aisha and the team at 7th Street, this is what they're doing. They're instilling that value of lifelong learning. Project-based learning tells you, I'm going to learn how to do this, but there's more that I can learn. There's always more than I can learn. So, the Arkansas, the Central Arkansas academies, the districts that are engaged in that with Ford NGL, districts all over the state. Bentonville is very much engaged in some project-based learning with respect to internships with large employers, small districts, big districts, you name it. They are realizing that the most valuable thing that you can instill in a student is that understanding of lifelong learning. Project-based learning is one of the best ways that I know to do that. So I'm excited. I still haven't been able to come visit you, Mary Beth, and see what your kids are doing. I plan to do that. But I'm happy to be part of this team that's working to move this forward. And Nikki, I'll kick it back to you so you can kind of show what the platform looks like.
Thank you so much, Johnny and Mary Beth and Aisha. It's wonderful to hear your story and all the amazing work that you're doing. We are so excited to be partnered with you here at Defined. And I am going to share my screen and just do a quick walkthrough to make those connections. And I'll actually showcase your BAT project as well to make that connection, Aisha. Can everyone see my screen okay? Okay, perfect. So I'll just give you a quick overview of all that we do here at Defined. At Defined, we have two main learning solutions, Defined Learning and Defined Careers. Defined Learning is our flagship platform that is going to be our ready-made PBL library of those K through 12 performance tasks that are aligned to your Arkansas state standards, but done through the lens of a career. So it's really allowing students to apply what they're learning in the classroom to those real world, authentic situations, make those connections, have those deeper learning opportunities. Defined careers is our second solution. That is going to take a step away from that academic side, and instead it's rooted in those 16 career clusters, 79 pathways. We also feature virtual internships in defined careers as well. There is a 6 through 12 side that is very student driven. And then we also do have career courses for that K through 5 lens as well. We showcase computer science and STEM units. And then Defined Academy is where we do all of our professional learning. So we are always supporting educators along the way. And as you can see, customizing and making sure that we are hitting all of your goals and initiatives and working with your district specifically in those graduate profiles and with those projects that you're working through. So I'm going to start with defined learning. Defined learning is going to be, like I said, that ready-made PBL library. So I am logged in as a teacher. You can see once you're in the course library, you could search by a specific standard, by a subject, or you always have your core curriculum areas, math, science, social studies, ELA. ELA is really woven through all of the subjects as it is, in our life. But teachers have those options to search by those specifics. We have multi-subject units, art integration, and a computer science and STEM package as well. So I'm going to dive into science so we can take a peek at that BAT project. Once the educator chooses their subject, it's then going to be broken down by grade band. This is a nice way for those teachers to search based on those specific areas of study or by that grade band. The grade band is there only for the educator to find the projects. I taught special ed, so I always like to point out it's a nice way to differentiate. The students do not know which project you have chosen grade band wise. So I know that BAT project is in 3-5 life science, so we're going to dive in there. Once you choose your grade band, you get a couple helpful pieces up top. You always get a brief description, a course playbook, task plan. These are going to be helpful step-by-step guides, giving the educator estimated grouping, timing. The course playbook is going to give them all the skills and topics that are taught. And then something really great with those elementary grade bands is this book catalog. And this is going to be commonly used books that are aligned to all of our defined learning projects. You will always have a unit outline here as well. So this is nice. This is clickable. So based on that area of study, you can go ahead and search specifically to find those different projects. So within structure and function, you've got a couple different options. Here's where you have that wildlife biologist BAT. You can see the projects are going to be aligned to those standards, but they're showcased in that career. So once you're in the project, there's a couple different pieces. You're always going to have this slideshow up top, but you do have an overview. You have the ability to assign it out directly to students. We pair up with learning management systems, Clever, Google, ClassLink. And then you've got your introduction down below. Always have a text version, but we are big on audio visual, so you will always have a video up top as well. So you first get that introduction video, anywhere from 20 to 40 seconds, introducing what is the wildlife
gentle, intelligent creatures. As a wildlife biologist, you know it is important to have a strong bat population. There are many benefits.
After your introduction video, we pair it with a real world connection video. This is where we're answering that question that students ask, why am I learning this? It's going to show them how they are applying those skills in a real career one day if they were a bat biologist. You've got your check-in questions. These can be done synchronously, asynchronously. And like Mary Beth was saying, everything is ready to go and ready-made. So these projects are right here for those educators to sign out as is. But if you do want to customize anything, there is that option here. You can add a question, you can add a slide, you can even add a product to our product menu as well. And then each of our projects will follow that GRASP model that Aisha talked about. So this is from that Understanding by Design UBD framework with Jay McTighe and Grant Wiggins. We have Jay McTighe on staff with us here at Defined. The students will always have a hypothetical role that they will be embarking on. So I'll play a brief piece of it.
Your goal as a wildlife biologist is to conduct a series of workshops during which you will educate the local citizens about bats and the benefits they provide to the environment. It is the goal that the community supports the initiative to increase the bat population in the area. Your role is a wildlife biologist who specializes in the study of bats. Your audience is the general public.
So I'll pause it here just in the interest of time. But you can see how we're going to set the stage. You do have English and Spanish subtitles on videos. And then you do have a script description as well. So students can go back, check what's my role, who's my audience, what's that situation. And then students will be doing a bulk of their work here in the research. So we have questions to keep in mind as they get started. Any helpful vocabulary. And then for the elementary grade bands, we provide nonfiction reading and writing opportunities right here within the site. So they do have constructed response options housed here. We give check-in questions, prompts, depending on the grade band. For K2, they have sentence starters, sentence frameworks, and then you'll see when we dive into a middle school project, it is scaffolded, and those students will have the ability to do research outside of defined learning. So depending on the grade band, you will have that scaffolding. The product choice menu is meant to be a choice. So you'll have anywhere from 2 to 4 products to choose from. For this one, they have 2 options. They're either doing an infographic or a multimedia presentation. Get some more information as you go through on how they will create that infographic or their multimedia presentation. And then we pair it with a design process video. So this is going to walk the students through getting started, brainstorming, creating, editing, revising their work. We pause for that check-in. And then the next steps are they can share it with their teacher or even choose to upload it right into the site. The products you saw above will always be listed down below here in this products tab with rubrics attached. They are clickable, exportable, they're scoreable, printable, and they will be product specific. So they are ready-made, ready to go. Teachers can edit them if they want to. And we also have the ability to further customize these so that you can be tracking your district specific skills and competencies as you're marking through on the rubric. And then that goes directly into that graduate profile. Those tracking questions you saw above will be housed here. Your resources tab will give any helpful pieces for the teacher. You can see some optional resource links here. Here's that constructed response rubric. We always give suggested materials, but it wouldn't require anything that you're not already using in the classroom. And then there's those book recommendations for those commonly used books. Students have their resources tab as well. And then this is where your standards will populate down below. So you can see your science standards for your 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. So that is just one example of an elementary science. I'm going to just kind of dive into computer science and STEM package and show you middle school so you can see that scaffolding example. When you're in the computer science and STEM package, you'll notice that for each of these grade bands, you will have areas in computer and technology, STEM and society, engineering, as well as STEAM in the K2, 3, 5, middle school and high school realm. So there's lots of different options here. I'm going to dive into middle school computer and technology. You'll see you're going to have that same setup where you have the brief description up top, your helpful pieces, and then you've got this unit outline again that is clickable based on those specific areas of study. I am going to dive into digital literacy, veterinary animal prosthetics. You will see that your project is set up in that same fashion, the ability to customize your overview, assigning it out to those students. You start with that text introduction, but you do have your intro video. You get that real world connection video tying in real career professionals that are veterinarians. You have that real world connection check-in, and then you do get that grasp.
Your goal is to provide important information about these prosthetics to pet owners and people working with animal shelters, zoos, and aquariums. You work with a team of veterinarians and biomedical engineers who have decided to open a new clinic specifically designed to help animals that have lost limbs.
You will have that script version as well. Your research questions, helpful vocabulary, And then now you have those research resources for those middle school students to be able to go outside of defined learning to get started on that research. Your product choice menu for this project has 3 options. They can either do an infomercial, a web page, or a prototype. So you get some more info on how to create each of those products. After the students choose that product, they then have that design process video. Again, you'll see how it is scaffolded now for those middle school students with a more age-appropriate video for them to help them get started on their work. Those products will be housed down below with your rubrics attached, your check-in questions, resources tab, and standards. And for the for the middle school and high school students, you will have this defined careers connection button here. This is a nice opportunity for students, even if they're not using the defined careers platform, to start focusing on those careers and learning about other careers in that field. So if a student really enjoyed this opportunity as a veterinarian and they loved this project, they can click here to look at some other areas in that field. And then they can go ahead and click to view the details, and all of this information will populate here for them. So this is going to show them more about what type of education, what their job outlook is, different abilities and skills, their personality, technology. So all of this will be housed right there for the students. If they are using the Defined Careers platform, they can actually click right here and it will take them directly into that course within Defined Careers where they can further their learning and have more experience in that course. Defined Careers is our second solution that is going to have opportunities in all of those 16 clusters, 79 pathways. It gives them hands-on products to create, as well as virtual internship opportunities. So I'm gonna pop over and show you that portfolio piece now so that you can see where the portfolio is housed for those students, all their projects that they create in defined learning. So you can see this student has been a forensic entomologist, they've worked in food science, they've been a carnival game designer. They have a personal project tab, which is going to be someplace they can house anything specific to their learning. Depending on the grade band, we have examples like resume or test scores, SMART goals, community service work. So really easy for them to upload into that personal project tab. And then we have their custom graduate profile. So here's an example of North Little Rock District and all the work that we're doing with them for their graduate profile. And this is where we can build out and customize your district's specific skills and competencies, criteria. Students can mark where they're at in their progress. If it's completed, they can upload pieces of evidence and artifacts to show that they've completed those areas. So this is going to be that customizable piece. And then in addition to our custom graduate profiles, the students will always have this career cluster wheel in their portfolio as well. So this is a nice visual that will show the different careers they've had that experience in, showcasing all the projects that they've created, and these drop down to give them that information about if they've completed it in defined learning, defined careers. Nice way to start looking at those pathways of interest for each individual student. So that is a brief overview of defined learning and all that we do. I am going to put in the chat a little landing page that's going to have some sample projects, some more information about defined learning and defined careers and our computer science package. And it will have my contact information on there as well. So you can always use that to find some time to sync up, and I'd be happy to share more. But I appreciate everyone for joining, and Johnny, Mary Beth, Aisha, thank you so much for joining us today. We will talk to you soon. Appreciate it.